Brennan's View condos are presented by Irish Realty. Only a few luxury units remain. Tailgate on the Brennan's View's rooftop deck, just steps from Eddy Street Commons and the Notre Dame campus. Take advantage of a $2,500 buyer's upgrade package through the end of November. Check out brennansview.com or irishrealty.net.
Notre Dame 44, Boston College 0. Mike Singer, Tim Hyde with our post-game reaction show brought to you by Brennan's View and Irish Realty. Head over to irishrealty.net for look, if you're wanting to live right by Notre Dame, this is a great opportunity for you. So head over to irishrealty.net. Tim, what was your score prediction? Do you remember?
I want to say, was it 33-19, something like that. So
I picked 38-9, and I feel like a dummy. It's just when you think, okay, Notre Dame struggles against Navy in that second half. Well, Boston College coming to town. This is going to be a close one. This continues to be Notre Dame. You just can't predict this season.
Yes,
44-0. Tim, what's your initial takeaways here?
My initial takeaway is what I said in my prediction show: expect the unexpected. I mean, seriously, this is 44. It was an awesome game to watch. It was a fun game to watch in that there's no stress, right? You got to enjoy a Notre Dame game in the snow, have some fun. Seriously, all I thought about all game long is next week playing in the Coliseum with a lot at stake. And then just setting up, getting ready to talk with you and everyone else is like eight wins for Notre Dame. I mean, seriously, this season's gone extremely fast.
Yeah.
You and I got together after Marshall and Stanford, and we're like, is Notre Dame going to get 6-6 and go play in some bowl in the Bahamas on January 12th when no one cares? And here they are. I mean, tonight's win from what I've been reading from some of the guys that track bowls, they're pretty much guaranteed for the Holiday Bowl, which is awesome. And possible.
Do we have a date on that?
What's that?
Do we know when that would be?
December 28th is the Holiday Bowl. December 28th. So that's that. I mean, just getting that 8th win, the 9th win really doesn't matter. Just reading things online. So it'll be interesting. I know, but just it's awesome. I'm excited for Coach Freeman to get the 8th win. I was just really reflecting on a lot of that going into the last game, where they've come from. A lot of lessons right this year. The first year coach, the mistakes, but also a ton of good things. And what a heck of a senior day for so many of those. I mean, we'll talk about, some of the players just stood up and dominated today. So awesome to see them beat BC the way they did.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So player of the game, think you got to go right to Ben Morrison with the 3 picks, right? I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah. It's funny because I was sitting there real quick when, he got beat on the deep one. It wasn't him. It was Bracey beat. I was like, oh, man, he got beat. But then you rewind it real quick and you see it was Bracey. Very next play, he gets the pick. Yeah, he's just unbelievable coverage guy. He's playing at such a high level right now, confidence. But he's been like that kind of. He's been like that kind of all season. Even in a few of the plays he's given up this year, unbelievable coverage. I think the only bad touchdown he gave up was the one Freeman took the blame for against Syracuse on the slant. They told him to play outside. He gave up the slant. Other than that, he's been all over the place this year. So he was a blast to watch. I thought early on Bertrand and Howard Cross were setting the tone, and then the DBs were just making plays all over the place. So yeah, for a freshman, we've talked about this a million times. You show up in June, July, you get your t-shirt and your shorts, trying to figure out your locker. And now, he's a lock to be first team freshman All-American this year. So that's going to be pretty cool.
5 picks. And those 5 picks just came in 2 games. So
big plays.
Outstanding. How about Jalen Sneed tying the most tackles for Notre Dame today? It's definitely good to see a lot of the young guys get some game action. I see a comment here, talking about Angeli and why he didn't play. I'll give you my 2 cents on it. He's already played in 2 games. If he were to play today, that would have been 3. And then what if Pine goes down? And then next week against USC, and then Angeli's the guy the rest of the season. Then he's played in 5 games. You burn the red shirt. So it's just like, why risk that for a few handoffs? He wasn't going to throw the ball. So do you think that was a good decision by Notre Dame? It's like he hands the ball off in practice. It's not going to be much different than in the game. He's handed the ball off in a Notre Dame game before. He's done it in the spring game. I don't think it was worth throwing him out there. Because you imagine then if he lost his red shirt opportunity because of this.
I'll be very honest with you, Mike. I haven't thought of that for about a millisecond. So that comment is like farthest thing from my mind. I'm thinking of the win. Yeah, thinking of the guys. So, hey, I'm not too worried about Steve Angeli handing off, just like you said.
Yeah. ND Nation says halftime at Cal never thought it'd be 8-3. Yep, that was that first half against Cal was a disaster. Yeah. It's a great place to be for Notre Dame right now after going 0-2 and then at 3-3 with that loss to Stanford. Oh man. So Notre Dame's rattled off 5 straight wins. Yeah, Benny Morrison is he's outstanding. Any other standout performance for you today, Tim?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, geez, real easy. Blake Fisher was just a man-child out there. I know I texted you. Yeah, I saw your tweet talking about Mayer and Fisher was just mauling people. A lot of the big runs today were cutbacks. It was awesome to see the running backs cutting back. It was almost like Clemson. They got away from that last week, obviously. But I thought he played outstanding at right tackle. Pine, I think it was 10 for 19 at halftime. Some of the passes, I think he had 3 or 4 passes over 20 yards, all big completions. And he's throwing into 20-plus mile-an-hour winds. And he obviously doesn't have a cannon, but he threw some beautiful passes on the run today. Even scrambled a nice little scramble there he had. Like I said, Cross had 2 huge quarterback hits in the first 2 drives. He played outstanding. Saw Bertrand run around. Obviously, Cam Hart set up that one on the back, which was a killer. Maris Leofau getting the touchdown called back. I stand up, I'm yelling like, that's totally backward pass. And they take the 7 away. Yeah. But I guess they said the rules, it was going to come back anyway. But it was just one of those games. It's just a hodgepodge of guys running around having fun. The awesome Diggs played outstanding. I mean, his physicality. Kudos to Chris Tyree, who I'm just not a huge fan of him at all. I'm just being brutally honest. Good, solid football player. Don't get me wrong. He had 1 cutback today, which I think I've never seen him cut back in 3 years, which was just a thing of beauty. And that was just really nice to see. It was his touchdown run, I believe. So that was a heck of a run by him. But overall, like you said, a lot of the young guys, Snead, lookouts. I mean, God, Xavier Watt. Every time I've said it 1,000 times, I know Mike Goolsby always does it too. When he plays, that guy, I can't wait to see him play next year as a starting safety, playing 55 snaps a game. He is fast and physical. So I'm really, really excited to watch him play next year. But it was an overall just great team butt kicking is what it was.
Yeah, Matt Salerno. Shout out to him with the touchdown. Yeah, muffed the punt, but I actually didn't see it.
Great punt return. He had a
nice punt return. I think he could have taken that to the house if he didn't slip. I missed the punt. I was in the other room for a moment and missed that. Who else gets a shout out? Obviously Diggs and Estime. They were both outstanding. Diggs he's over 1,000 yards on the season.
Estime is now?
Diggs.
Oh, is he really?
I believe I saw that on Notre Dame's Twitter.
Okay. Oh, okay. Maybe. Oh, interesting. I would love to. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Let me pull it up.
I thought Estime was the leading rusher coming in, but I could be wrong. I haven't really followed this. Hey, but real quick on giving shout outs. How about a shout out to the team? There is Notre Dame, Mike, and everyone here listening and hanging out with us. Notre Dame has scored 35 plus points now in 5 consecutive games. That has only happened 1 time in the history of Notre Dame football. Frank Leahy's 1943 team. I saw that tweet. So Notre Dame posted that like a week ago. How they had scored 4 in a row and it tied a handful of teams. Lou Holtz had a couple.
Tim, I'm just going to interrupt you real quick. Tim, I was wrong. It was not 1,000. I read the tweet wrong. Continue, Tim. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. No, yeah, I just think that's amazing. The 35 straight. 35 points, 5 games in a row. The only other team ever to do that is Frank Leahy's 43, which was a heck of a football team, that team. So it just shows you the ebbs and flows of this team, which we're going to be talking about come December, the roller coaster But I think when it's all said and done, it's a huge positive season going forward as they obviously, and it's no matter what happens to SC, I truly believe. I think they're going to go play their tails off. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere. Getting to 8 wins for where they started is a huge accomplishment for the coaching staff.
Yeah, definitely. Quick note on Drew Pine. I mean, it was just kind of a normal Drew Pine performance today. I think that the takeaway is kind of confirming what we already know, was that when he has time, he can dissect some defenses. When he doesn't, his limitations are very obvious. So it was just a Pine is what he is. I didn't really think anything else of other than Pine.
I was going to say my thing with him. I think it was 10. I saw this halftime. He was 10 for. I like really charted the first half because second half I knew they were going to play smash ball. But he was 10 for 19. But it felt like every single incompletion, the ball sailed. And he did throw one really bad pass one time. But it's so hard to judge. Excuse me, when the winds are 25 miles an hour and they're trying to adjust. Look at the BC quarterback. He came in today with back-to-back games of passing for 330, but 7 or 8 touchdowns. And that guy couldn't throw a 10-yard hitch to save his life today. So I think the winds were atrocious. That's why I mentioned earlier, I want to say, I think Pine had 3 or 4 20-yard passes today. And there were one of them on the run. Once again, Colsey, the deep square in over the, what is that? That's got to be 4 or 5 games in a row, hitting Colsey on deep square in. So he was solid for what needed to be in that element. If it wasn't snowing and windy, I think Pine's going to have a 70+% completion type of game.
Yeah. Quick word from our sponsors over at Brennan's View, presented by Irish Realty. Only a few luxury units remain. Tailgate on the rooftop deck, just steps from Eddy Street Commons and the Notre Dame campus. Take advantage of a $2,500 buyer's upgrade package through the end of November. Head to Brennan'sView.com. Again, folks, Brennan'sView.com, sponsoring today's post-game show. But yeah, we haven't even really talked about the snow. That was absolutely amazing. Awesome. Jason Garrett made a good comment. How about that, Tim? We haven't really talked about the broadcast crew in recent weeks, after that was the only thing people wanted to talk about for a long time. Garrett made a comment saying how memorable this game will be now because of that snow. Sure. Notre Dame blasting Boston College 44-0. Now the Eagles are a 3-8 team. That's not really going to be that memorable, but now with that snow, that was a lot of fun, Tim.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for those guys. The memories, obviously, the pictures. It was wild. The snow early, then the sun comes out. Then it's snowing on one. It looked like one side had snow, sun's out on the other side. Then the second half was just a blizzard. I was laughing. My wife was at a birthday party with our kids, and she went to Notre Dame, so I sent her some nice pictures. Like, look at this. It's just it was a blizzard out there. It was awesome, and it was fun to see them come out and just keep the mojo going in the second half. I thought there was no let up. I truly believe, as someone who's been in football a long time, that second half against Navy was complete emotional relaxation, and that's what they did. They still won, and they came out today and just obliterated them from the get-go. Hey, real quick, another shout out. Someone posted this in the chat. Blake Grupe had missed multiple field goals the last couple of games, and he hit a 47. I think one of them was a 47 in that condition. So huge game for that guy going out on senior day.
Yep, he was good from 26, 41, and 46, all in the first half. I don't think he could have made any of those. Maybe the 26-yarder, maybe he could have made one of those in the second half. But yeah, strong outing from him, folks. If you are watching live with us or watching back, please do hit the thumbs up on this video. That really helps grow our channel, so you can support us that way. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more Notre Dame football and recruiting content, and the super chat if you have anything that you want us to pop up on the screen or for us to discuss. You please go ahead and drop a super chat. That'd be very much appreciative from Tim and myself. I think a shout out to Dion Colsey.
Yes.
Someone who had been banged up this year, I believe. Mm-hmm. It's all just kind of running together in my mind. Who's been injured at what points? But yeah, Tim, I want to say he was hurt earlier in the year.
Yep. in August in camp. Remember, he had
Okay.
like I think he had a PCL, if I remember right, which
Yeah,
is
just kind of
no
tweaked that.
surgery. Yeah, it's pain
And
tolerance.
he has really come alive here and just
Yeah,
been this third down weapon today. One catch for 23 yards, but I think that he is just coming into his own a little bit. So I wanted to give Deion Colsey a shout out. And then a
love it.
comment here, Mike and Tim, do you think, or did you think Ben Morrison had this type of ceiling? My response is we don't know what the ceiling is.
Yeah,
Like I don't want to overreact too hard, right? To these just two outstanding. I mean, he's been outstanding all season, let's be honest. But like I don't want to be like, okay, he's um, the next greatest cornerback we've ever seen. He's the next Ty Law. But I also don't even want to put a cap on him just yet. Like, I mean, who knows just how good this kid is, whether you're
yeah.
looking at from a pessimistic or optimistic standpoint. I lean more towards optimistic because I know his bloodline's so strong and he's so young and he just the swagger and the confidence he plays with. There's a lot of reason for excitement here, Tim.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you got a young man who, we've talked about 100 times already shows up in the summer. He hasn't even gone to spring football. He hasn't even done a winter conditioning. He hasn't done the 5:30 a.m. lifts in the freezing snow in January and February in South Bend. He hasn't been tested that way, mentally to get him stronger, to get him ready for an entire season. I mean, me and you talked about on our signing day, he was my sleeper, and it's he was so highly ranked. I mean, all about his recruiting. He got offered by a lot of premier programs that went after him. And we just didn't talk about him, it seemed like, for a long, long time in the recruiting cycle. And he was my sleeper down the road. And I just loved his high school film. And then here he is, boom, instantly. Pete Sampson of The Athletic has tweeted a handful of times in the past about how the coaches came to him before Ohio State saying, this guy number 20 is going to be one of the better ones that we've ever seen. So people are already talking about him before the Ohio State game. And then he goes out there, like you're saying, the swag, the confidence in that game in the horseshoe. And he's had it all year long. And what was it? I think game 3, I think it was that Cal game was when he finally, I think that was his first start. So him and Pine, right? 8-1 together.
There you go. Good shout, Tim. Did Minchie commit yet? No, I'm not. No, I don't expect an announcement this weekend, but I mean, it looks obviously really good for Notre Dame here. I tweeted out a picture our photographer took of Minchie pregame. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yep. So there he is. He looks cold, but that's because he was cold because it was very cold in South Bend today.
12 degrees. There was one shot real quick, Mike, where they had in the first half, they put the temperature up. It was 27, but with the wind chill, it was 12 degrees inside that stadium. So that's chilly. That's a chilly day.
Yeah. So I will have a lot more about this recruiting weekend. Sunday, try to, tonight and Sunday, try to interview a lot of recruits about the weekend. I have, those stories up on the individual players. And then Monday morning around 11 a.m. Eastern time or so, I'll post what we call the gold standard for the past 3 years, pretty much every Monday morning. Kind of write this, recruiting scoop article on, whether it's certain trends for Notre Dame recruits or kind of recapping a big weekend like this. We'll go through all the visitors and kind of tell you guys what I'm hearing, from talking to the players, sources, people close to them. So we'll have that at blueandgold.com Monday morning. And then also note Sunday, I will text schools in a bit to confirm, but should be Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Myself and Mike Goolsby will be live on YouTube, so make sure you check that out. I'm sure he is very excited about Notre Dame blasting Boston College, the program that he said on a number of occasions is like the one he hates the most. So I'm sure that he is thrilled, and we'll talk about Notre Dame's, again, that shutout win. Tim, I imagine with you being a former coach in Southern California. Now I know you're up in, the Northeast now, so maybe you've coached a little bit but have you ever had an experience anything like this in the snow?
No, nothing like that. I mean, I've coached in 2009, we went to the state championship game in Massachusetts and got to play in Gillette, and it was freezing. We just had little flurries. We played the early morning game because they just go like five games that day. We had the early morning one. By nighttime, the Division One, the Big Boy Championship, was a blizzard. So I do remember that in 2009, the entire field, like in between quarters, they were out there just mowing the snow off, blowing the heck out of it so the guys could play. So never been in a game like that, but I've definitely been in some cold games. It's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Um,
15 is cold.
How about Isaiah Foskey, Tim? What
Yes.
are your thoughts about him breaking? That's a heck of a record to break. 25 career sacks, which is a Notre Dame record, beating out Justin Tuck, his sack record at Notre Dame. What are your thoughts on this, Tim?
Well, I love the fact that he's that Justin Tuck is the guy that works out trains with him in the off season. So I think that's pretty cool that they have that relationship and they work out together. And I'm a huge Justin Tuck fan, so I know Goolsby will. I mean, he played with Justin, so it's interesting when you compare those two. And I've been starting to go back, look at old games. Tuck's games were monster. He had monster games against ranked teams. Foskey's been just one of those, scan out the sacks here and there over 3 years. Because their first year, Foskey just played special teams, Tuck redshirted. So really all these sacks have been in the 3 years. And Tuck was injured his senior year coming off an ACL after his 13 and a half sacks his junior year. But it's a great record. It's a heck of a record is what it is. I hope somebody somewhere gets into the bowels of Notre Dame Stadium somewhere and busts out the old Ross Browner film. Because that's all we've ever heard about is he's the greatest DN in the history of Notre Dame, which is his numbers hold up there. But we need to see his sack numbers. I would love to. Obviously, they only passed 8 times a game back then. So how many are there actually? But it's an awesome stat. It's cool for Foskey to get it at home right at the end of halftime right there. I love seeing that. And the little him and Tuck being so close is pretty cool. So really awesome to see where he goes in the NFL draft because he's going to be one of those stand-up 3-4 type of rush guys, and that's his athleticism. Even today, I think the big hit with Watts, if I remember right, I think it was Watts, and you have Foskey covering out of the backfield, which he does every single game. He did that a couple times in the Clemson game. So hell of an athlete, hell of a record. It's a lot of sacks to get.
So tight end Michael Mayer, 5 receptions, 64 yards on 9 targets. I think a couple of those were that little, the jet sweep pitch pass.
Yep.
He wasn't honored as a senior, obviously, but you have to believe that was his last game in Notre Dame Stadium. Any thoughts on where you kind of rank him among Notre Dame's great tight ends?
Well, number one, they recognized him at the end when he got that little flip pass and he got the 2,000 yards. They announced it. I thought that was an awesome thing for him to get that and get recognized by the crowd. That his numbers are freakish. Obviously, it's hard. I know all the old timers who've been around and whatnot. I mean, Ken McAfee is the fact that he was a 3-time All-American. Michael Mayer is yet to be. Well, he was a second and third teamer last year, so this will be. Mayer should be should be the consensus first teamer this year. So McAfee in the 70s, just the fact that you're a 3-time All-American is outstanding. Since then, wow, Eifert. I'm a huge Eifert fan just because of what he could do catching the ball, much like Michael Mayer. Blocking, you could flip a coin during the Holtz years. I know Goolsby played with Anthony Fasano. Anthony Fasano is probably my personal favorite because I just love the way he just played the game. He was awesome in those mid years with Davey and Weiss, and Goolsby played with him, and he had 12-year career in the NFL. But Mayer, I think when it's all said, he's definitely going to he's top 3 of all time when you round everyone together. It's got to be him, McAfee, and whoever else you want number 3. But he's a stud. He had a hell of a game today after playing horrible in the second half last week, where it looked like he was ready to go home. He was energized and all over the place today.
Fasano holds a special place in my heart because my favorite play of football all time was Dolphins man, I forget if it was 07 or 08. I think it was 08. Ronnie Brown
Okay.
takes the jet sweep, and he's that wildcat, rolls to his left, and he throws the lefty touchdown to a diving Anthony Fasano, and we
Love it.
roll the New England Patriots. So that was an absolute dime there. Yes, Andrew, I saw your super chat. I forgot to pop it up on the screen. I'll mention this from JP. Yeah, we're not going to talk about the whole Djokovic thing. That was just ridiculous. I mean, but we'll probably say that for Tim, or excuse me, Mike Goolsby tomorrow. Yeah. Andrew said, could you see Notre Dame promoting Mickens to a co-coordinator? He's upgrading the secondary.
Not if Al Golden's there. I mean, there's no need to. I mean, that's a great question. If Golden goes to the NFL in a year from now, or whatever, does he take an NFL or excuse me, a D1 job after this year because he's done it? He's got the experience. What now? I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, so I have no clue. But yeah, there's no need to name him co-coordinator. You got Al Golden's been doing a heck of a job. He's held everyone under their averages this year, other than Navy. So it's Navy's going to be there for mini games, but outside of that, the defense was outstanding today. I mean, seriously, look, for those guys, I mean, they've given it for me. It's driven me nuts. They've given up so many 70+ yard drives this year, which I know it's modern football, and but it seems like they do it all the time, especially when they got mojo. They just give up a 70-yarder. Today, man, they just came out and just took it to BC, and we're never going to give one of those up today. And that's awesome, especially after last week's game. So really cool to see the defense rise to the occasion.
How about this drive chart, Tim?
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the red. Look at
a
all
lot
those
of red.
turnovers.
A lot of gold on the other one. Yeah, I mean, just even when they didn't get when they were inside the 10, it's like, yeah, you're like, man, yeah, you're right. They've scored every single time they had the ball today. So it's it was a perfect game to end the slate, and now it's SC in a bowl. So you got two monster games to close out this season. So perfect cap on probably, I would say the season, because now moving forward is you got two special games ahead.
Yeah. Goolsby just texted me 7 p.m. Eastern time Sunday.
Love it.
We're on. So I know Tim will be watching, and so yeah, that'll definitely
Tell them to get some
be a
Fasano stories.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to go ahead and hear from another sponsor, which is Augie's Locker Room. And folks, if you are a passionate Notre Dame fan and you're looking for that special Fighting Irish piece to complete your rec room, go to augieslockerroom.com. They have a selection of Notre Dame stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, one-of-a-kind Rockney items, and you can find exclusive Joe Montana signed items and famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's miniature replicas of the bronze statues around the stadium as well. If Augie doesn't have it in his store, he will find it for you. Visit augieslockerroom.com. Augie's is spelled Augies. And you can also stop in at 1811 South Bend Avenue and see the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890. augieslockerroom.com. You can call in 574-277-ND. So, Tim, you're familiar with Southern Cal. I know that's a program you follow a little bit with your LA background. Thoughts on this early matchup? Obviously, we'll dive into it a ton in our live show Wednesday night and our pregame video that we'll post on this upcoming Friday. But yeah, Tim, early thoughts on this matchup. And obviously for folks, if you're watching back, we are recording this before UCLA USC. So we don't have that information from that game yet. But Tim, thoughts on that matchup?
It's gonna be awesome. I mean, we're gonna know a heck of a lot tonight, because the one thing with going into the UCLA game is UCLA's top 5-6 in the country in rushing offense. They smack. People think Notre Dame runs the ball. UCLA runs it nonstop. With Zach Charbonnet, the tailback, the Michigan transfer at tailback, who's a stud out of Oaks Christian.
Yep.
Where Jimmy Clausen went. He's a hell of a running back.
He played with the Ole Miss quarterback, right? I think they played together. Corral? I think they played together.
Well, yeah, Corral. I don't know if Corral was there early and then he went to Poly. Corral bounced around a lot in
Okay.
SoCal. I remember a handful of times.
Okay.
Oaks has so many transfers; it's
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Okay.
But yeah, their quarterback when they won the championship his senior year was the linebacker at UCLA or UW right now. Heck of a football player, but physical UCLA. So I'm really looking forward to making some popcorn and watching that game tonight. But yeah, it's going to be your typical Notre Dame. Big physical, got to go in there, control the clock. SC has athletes everywhere. The same. I feel like this has been the story since Pete Carroll left. When Pete Carroll would hammer the ball down your throat. So they would run until you just quit. So Pete Carroll loved to run the football, as we know with the Seattle Seahawks days. But since Carroll left, it has become a 5-star factory for receivers, skill players, DBs. They have them all over the place. But they've never been able to hold up physical wise, in the trenches against the big teams, since Pete left. And I think it may be the same type of game next week. But I'm telling you guys, I've been watching SC much more over the last month, just staying up late watching some of their games. Caleb Williams, man, I'll tell you what, if SC beats UCLA and Notre Dame, he's a Heisman finalist. He's so damn good. He is outstanding. That game next week is going to be, how do you corral him? SCO offensive line, which I know drives people nuts. That Pro Football Focus has them, I think, number 1 or 2. They're way better than they have been in the last few years. Very athletic, good group of guys. All 4 starters returning from last year, and 2 of them are first, second round draft choices. So they do have guys and whatnot. But they lost their great running back, Travis Dye, the Oregon transfer, a heck of a Southern California high school football player, is out. So we'll see tonight how the backups do with Caleb. The wide receivers should all be back. But the defense, I think they lead the nation in turnover margin because their defense is buttery soft. I mean, they give up chunks of yards, but they have forced more turnovers in the red zone than anyone in the country this year. So if Notre Dame can just not turn it over, control the clock, man, they got a legitimate shot going in there beating the top 10 SC team if, SC handles business tonight. So they've given up points, as you see in a lot of these games.
Yeah. 37 against
Caleb
Arizona.
is,
Remember how bad
man.
Cal's offense was? 35 points.
Yes. They threw the ball in that game, Mike. I think Cal quarterback had like 400 yards passing, slinging it all over the place. So, you follow recruiting. I didn't really pay attention too much to Caleb Williams. It's like he's an amazing quarterback.
Yeah. No, he's a 5-star.
Yes, he's outstanding.
That was Notre Dame. He was at Gonzaga High School in DC. Yep. My buddy lives in DC, so I, went and visit him, and he lives right around the corner from Gonzaga. And I was like, man, this looks like a school that Notre Dame would have some success recruiting at. Notre Dame did not even recruit him. No offer. They just kind of zeroed in on Buckner and just like, man, what? I'm not trying to say anything bad about Buckner,
sure.
But it's just like, still, what if? Because Caleb Williams, just wow.
Just a quick 30-second side rant is like, that's been, you follow recruiting like crazy. That's the one thing for me who's been a Notre Dame fan my whole life is how Notre Dame does not just pay rent in the DC Catholics and just pick a couple out every year. That is damn good football there. Yeah. So really
good counsel. I know it's in Olney, Maryland, but still, just like that Catholic league there.
Yes, that league is
and how Brian Kelly never went to DeMatha Catholic once. And Marcus Freeman went there twice in his first month on the job.
Yep.
DeMatha,
payoff.
Good counsel, Gonzaga, Archbishop Carroll. There's some big time ball there.
Yep.
For sure. Yep. Games won in the trenches. As much as we want to talk about all the fancy spread offense stuff, that's Notre Dame. Shout out to Notre Dame offensive line. Hashtag Joe Alt fan club, of course. But I think that's pretty much gonna wrap it up, Tim. Any other thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I think tonight is not a lot to talk about. It was a great win, exciting. Came out of it, hopefully I saw Cam Hart holding his hamstring. Mickey played a ton, played the whole rest of the game out there. So hopefully that was just the snow and a little tightening and he took himself out. Foskey, obviously, walked off, and I saw someone in the chat room saying he was doing an interview afterward and was walking around fine. It's 10 degrees out there. He probably got hit in the knee and was like, "Get me out of here." So no, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to enjoying the Battle of LA tonight and seeing this Marcus Freeman team go for win number 9 next week.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the theme all week, is just how they have just really rallied. Seriously, this has been an amazing. Sure, 8-3 Notre Dame standards, blah blah blah. We could harp all you want, but it really is an amazing turnaround. I think when we look back.
Yeah. I want to give a quick shout out to some of these graduate transfers they've gotten. John Stott and Blake Groupie. We don't talk often about punters and kickers unless they're screwing up. But how about Chris Smith?
Chris Smith, man.
He
Big
forced that
sack
fumble
tonight.
that Foskey recovered when Aiden Kana-Ainau's been out. I know he got his first action this season. That's awesome. But you've had Kana-Ainau hurt most of the season. Jacob Lacey transfers. It's like, your interior under your defensive line is not great. And Jason Adamalola was out today. Right. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I thought the announcer said concussion protocol after last week. So
thank goodness Notre Dame has Chris Smith this season. Like, where would they be without him? So to kind of bolster that interior defensive line, and has had a good impact as well. So Walshed Up, appreciate you. You are the best, my friend. But yeah, like I said, 7 p.m. Eastern time, the Mike Goolsby Show, and we'll have tons more Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage throughout the week. So please do head to our Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Check it all out. And you can also go to blueandgold.com for all of that information as well. Appreciate you all for watching. And as always, we'll catch you next time.